Okay, so we're smart plans and we're just gonna click this library button right at the top. So Noel, I know you have some stuff that you've published in here. What are some of do you have a favorite smart plan in here, or what are some of your favorite features of the library?
One of my favorites, I think, well, actually, I'm going to be touching on one of them actually for my part. So I'll kind of save that. But this is a good place to go to not create the wheel, right? You can definitely create them from scratch, but why don't you get inspiration and ideas from others and then just kind of tweak it and make it your own from here, right? So go to the library and you can see not only what's featured, but you can see what's top rated and what agents are using the most, how many agents are using them. And I would definitely cycle through some of those because there's some really good ones. I think my favorite one on there is probably the buyer education one.
Oh yeah, Connor's is really good.
Yeah.
I think he's working on a seller one too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys can see, there's a search bar in the top left. So I just started typing in buyer education there, and everything with buyer education in the title has now come up. And as Noel mentioned, you can see on these smart plans, there's a little description of what the plan is. And you can see how many steps and touches, the author, and how many agents are using it. So for example, this one, there's almost 8,000 people using this smart plan. So I don't know about you, but I feel like that means he did something right. It's probably a good one to check out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you mentioned one other thing. What did you say? Who it was, how many people, oh, and the rating. So you as users of the smart plans can actually vote on it. You can cast your star rating. So this one has 50 reviews and it's about 4.5 stars. So that's pretty good out of 8,000 users. Yeah. One of the other cool things about the plans in the library is that you can view the steps just by clicking that view step button. And if you hover over something like an email or a text, it will actually pull it up so you can see the text that's populated in there. So you can see if it makes sense for your goal without even opening the plan, without having to go through the process of downloading it, bringing it into your library. You can just check it out right here to see if that's a good fit for you. Are there other tidbits that you would like to add, Noel?
No, I think you pretty much covered everything, right? So just, again, take some time block, and just go through and see what's on there. And I guarantee you, it'll definitely give you some ideas on ways that you can use them. And that's kind of what I first started with. And then I went through them all. I left most of what's on there and I just kind of tweaked a few things just to make it, for our team. And what I'll say is some of the ones that are on here that we use, we've gotten great feedback from clients. So the awesome thing with a smart plan is when you put someone on the smart plan, if they reply to one of those emails, you get a Kelly notification that tells you somebody responded to an email, right? So I've gotten good response, like, this is very helpful information, right? Thanks for sending it. So I know there's value there and our clients are finding value. So yeah, but I think sky's the limit on the different type of plans that you can create. We did the post-closing plan last command day, but for lead nurture, follow-up, client events, there's just all sorts of stuff that you can utilize with this. So browse around.
All right, and then if you have never used them before, because I know a lot of you are new, all you have to do to get them into your library to make them editable and usable is just hit this Add Smart Plan button, and then you can rename it or just hit download as it is. And once you hit download, you'll click the My Smart Plan section up at the top, and the plans that you have chosen to add to your list will show up right here. And then make sure to check out the recordings of our classes for how to edit smart plans, how to create your own from scratch. I know I've got some on my YouTube channel, and then we have Command Day recorded from that smart plan class. So that is in the E2B training drive. So all those recordings are in there for you. All right. Do you guys have any questions about that?
Any questions? Yes. We're good here in Naperville.
All right, so what we had talked about next is what we plan to do for those 3 sections today is to really do some tutorials. I guess I can turn this off so we can see each other. Is to actually do some tutorials on like point and click. This is how you do X, this is how you do Y. But what we wanted to make sure you guys
Amy?
understood. Yeah?
Your sound sounds a little low over here.
Yeah, I just switched mics. because my other one died. That's the. Is this better?
A little bit.
Yeah, let me push the. How's this? Is that any better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. So the goal of those little half-hour segments is to actually show you guys like point and click how to do the actions. But we want to make sure that you have the right mindset going into it. So I can tell you from experience with helping several agents with Facebook, and I'm sure Noel will have some stuff to chime in on this as well. You really need to go into the mindset of Facebook ads and leads that come in from Facebook. What are they similar to as far as other leads that you might have come across? Any thoughts on that? Longer timeline, they are online leads, right? This is not a person you've been having conversations with, right? That's like ready to move tomorrow. It could be, you could find somebody that's ready to move next week. But in general, online leads are about 18 months out. So you have to go in with that mindset, right? You also want to understand that while you might have 50 people come in off of an ad, maybe 2 of them, maybe 3 of them convert, which seems like a low conversion rate. However, if you're thinking about paying for leads and you're paying, you know, a 25% referral fee, a 30% referral fee, if you're only paying $90 for a Facebook ad and you get 3 transactions out of it, how's that conversion rate, right? Doesn't matter if you only close 3 out of, 50. Yes. So say that again, Chris.
I mean, you don't even have to spend that much. You can, pay like 35, 40 bucks for a week span of Facebook ads, and you'll get a ton of leads depending on how well you structure it.
And what do you need to make that happen? A follow-up plan. What else do you have I thought Noel was going to say something.
Yeah. So, Facebook ads, I mean, I've definitely had success with it. Last year, I had a successful campaign where I spent like $300 on the campaign and we closed 2 deals within 90 days off of that. So you figure that $300, $150 per deal, and the commission that we got on it was amazing return, right? So you just got to get creative. There's all sorts of different ads you can put. There's different quality, different call to action, right? So you really got to put some thought into it and then develop the follow-up plan behind that, and it can be very successful.
Yeah, and you guys have the opportunity with Facebook ads. Like I said, Marty's going to go through and show you how to do all the things that you have.
And Amy.
Yeah.
So one of those leads that I closed on, funny thing, she just she had a birthday party at her house 2 weeks ago, and she invited myself and Patricia. And we went over there and she was like a raging fan. Like everyone that came in, she's like, oh my God, this is my realtor. They bought us the house. And we picked up 3 leads from her birthday party of friends and families that are also looking to buy and sell. So you never know where those relationships may lead to and how much future business. Because now if I take the future potential business and I compare that to the $300 I spent, now how much should I really spend? Like what's the return on that, right? So definitely opportunities there.
Yeah, track those sources. Make sure you're doing that in your tags and your opportunity tags. I know Noel likes those.
Yep.
That's a whole nother class, right?
Right.
So along with keeping in mind of the conversion rates of online leads and the timeline, the reason we talk about follow-up so much is because some of those leads are, the 18 months out, that's fine. I mean, the only reason that would be a bad lead is if you don't plan on being in the business in 18 months, right? So the thing that we have to concentrate on then is staying in front of them. So one of the things Noel's going to talk about is how to stay in front of your sphere, but the same principles you can apply to any type of lead. You just would want to target it a little different based on how they came into you. Then Noel, like I said, is going to be talking about Sphere and following up with that database. So I would love to hear your thoughts on how you wrap your head around all the different things you can do and kind of sort that out, because there's lots of options.
Yeah, there's definitely lots of options. I think one of the main things is like when you talk about Sphere, those are your relationships. Those are the people that you know, right? And funny thing, like when I got started in the business, my main driver, right? I used to be a bill collector, right? So I'm like, I'm tired of calling people on the phone, and I think I'm gonna get my real estate license, right? And then you show up and they're like, all right, guys, let's make phone calls. You know, I'm like, really? Are you serious? But what I quickly realized coming to all the classes that our top agents teach is there's so many ways to succeed in this business, right? And I really wanted to dive into social media, right? My mindset was in a place where I was hearing people talk about where awareness was. And that's where we need to be present, is where all the eyeballs are. And where's everyone's awareness at, right? It's right here in their phones. So, you know, I used to joke and say, man, people are spending all this money on billboards on the highways, right? And it's funny, when I drive past cars, I'm seeing these people in their phones. They're not even paying attention to the billboards, right? So it was a big, like a light bulb moment went off, and I'm like, man, this is where the attention is. It's a free platform, right? You don't have to spend money, of course, unless you're doing paid ads. But aside from that, from the people that you're connecting with, like, it's free to use Facebook. And guess what? Everybody's sharing what's going on in their lives, right? If they're getting married, or they lose somebody, or they're having kids, or they buying a house, right? Go vacation, right? Those are all topics that we can use to further engage them and have deeper conversations with, right? But you got to be purposeful about it, right? And not just like a post, right? Leave a comment, send them a direct message. Man, that place looks amazing. Where's that at? How long were you there? You know what I mean? Like, when you create more of a conversation, then it works both ways instead of just a comment. So yeah, relationships is one of my favorite ways. I think it's most agents' favorite ways to receive business is, you know, their goal is building a referral based business. So yeah, it's one of my funnest ways to, you know, engage and just grow our business on our side.
And I think to add to that, one of the things that we talked about, I think it was 2 command days ago now, is it's great to follow up, of course, right? But you probably don't want to give every single person the same experience, right? You met them different ways. They have different interests, buyers versus sellers, right? You want to be able to communicate with all of them at the level that makes sense to them. You don't want to send everybody the same email or text. Are you looking to buy, sell, or invest? How can I help you buy, sell, invest, right? So one of the ways we are able to help make that easier for you guys is by utilizing tags inside contacts. So that's really important for you guys to be thinking about as we're talking about all these different lead gen strategies, is to think about how you want to group them together based on how you want to communicate with them in the future, or maybe information that you might want to look up. I think that this would be a good time maybe to do a little bit of masterminding while we have everybody together. Is anybody currently using tags in their business? There's some hands up in Glen Ellen. Should we give Naperville the opportunity to go first this time? Is anybody using tags in there? And Zoom, feel free to unmute or write in the chat.
Yeah, we've got a few that are using tags on here. Any
What
examples?
tags are you guys using? Yeah.
What tags? Any ideas?
I use tags for all my friends to shop so that I can, I know around like homecoming and stuff like that.
Okay. So Kayla said that she uses tags for people that she went to college with. So then she can easily identify them, and she can think of maybe different touch points, right, for homecoming or prom, you know, different things that may, you know, come with that, right? Cool. Anyone else? Who else? What are some tag examples?
Where I met them, whether they're
Okay.
kids' activities or their neighbors or subdivisions, because if it's a person that lives in a specific subdivision, then I can target that subdivision.
If somebody's saying something in Naperville. But here, I'm gonna give you this, and one came in
Yeah.
the chat too.
So yeah, Andrea said kind of where she meets people, right? She will tag them, so then she knows how to speak with them. Were they from her kids' baseball, you know, friends' moms, right? Or specific subdivisions, school activities, right? There's past jobs, right? It could have been your old colleagues, stuff like that.
Yeah, Naperville, you are Naperville. Meredith on Zoom said she does town names and open house so that she can identify, you know, where they're from or maybe where they're looking. Could that be what you're using town names for too, Meredith? Let us know.
Just because I send them market data, and so I might separate them by town names, and then I can send them InfoSparks data based on those towns and stuff.
That's a great idea. So
Awesome.
then, you know, if something comes along in that area, you can send it to them, right? or new updates, market trends.
Yeah, we use towns as well, like where the people live, because that gives us an opportunity if we want to send out all of our people that live in Naperville in the summer, what's going on in Naperville, we can create one list of all the activities or events and things that are happening. And now we can just bring up the tag Naperville and we can send it to all the people in Naperville. Or maybe we do Naperville, Plainfield, Oswego, right? We can do the surrounding area that may all apply to them. But I don't want to send that to everyone in my database, right? People that live on the north side of Chicago probably don't care about what's happening in Naperville. They're probably not going to come out here. So that's how we can be a little bit more purposeful and make it feel more one-to-one instead of one-to-many.
Yes.
Because in one-to-many, that just increases the chances of people opting out and unsubscribing if it's not relevant to them.
Exactly. And I know Chris in our office today said that he has some tags that he uses. If you want to share what those are.
Yes, my team and I, we have tags. We name some of our clients rock stars or VIPs, pretty much people we've worked with, as well as clients who have referred us to other family members, friends. We have hot prospects,
Yeah.
People we're currently working with, current Mets, people we've met, but are constantly following up with, trying to stay in front of, things of that nature.
That's
Yeah.
perfect. So I heard a few ideas in there. One was how soon to closing, right? Or how soon to until they're ready to be, in a transaction. And one with your favorites, basically your VIPs, right?
Rock stars, VIPs.
Rock stars. Yeah. So that's a great way to, if you're holding a client appreciation event and you have a database of 2,000 people, how do you narrow down to who you're actually going to get sent an invite to, right? So if they're labeled as your rock stars and VIPs, make sure you have a system around that. What qualifies that? Is it a referral? Is it multiple pieces of business? You make the tags work for your business. I think that's a great tip. I saw some light bulbs go off in here. I don't know about you guys. Joe, you want to say something?
So a lot of people set up Google Alerts. So as I was just sitting here, thinking through this stuff, if you set up a Google Alert for different things, use a tag for that. So that when that Google Alert pops up, if whatever you're alerting, if it's for about a client or something else, have them in the tag. This way, you can push that Google Alert back out to those people.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Then you don't have to go find the content, right? Google's doing the work for you. Talk about leverage. You just put it in an email or a text to let everybody know that's already tagged with that alert. And then I see something came in on Zoom. It said, Tanya said, I tag them based on life stage, like first time buyer, retiring, new baby, just married. Tanya, if you are willing, go ahead and unmute and tell us a little bit more about how you utilize those tags. We'd love to hear from you.
I use that based on, for marketing purposes and just kind of how to group people together. And obviously, it doesn't always mean that they're going to be ready to buy, but it's still that, kind of heads up that maybe in the future, when that new baby comes, normally after about 6 months to a year, when they start acquiring so much stuff, that's when people start feeling the small confines of their home. So then maybe that's when you start calling. So just that, anything to kind of just give you more ideas on, things to talk to them about too.
That's perfect. Thank you for sharing. I know a lot of people, they get tired of asking about who do you know, or are you ready to buy, sell, invest, right? So another great way to phrase that question is, who do you know that's coming, that has a life event coming up? And this is exactly what Tanya's talking about. Baby, new job, right? Divorce, marriage, either one, right? Maybe you got parents that are retiring and want to move out of state. Those are all good things that you could use as tags, because those are things that are going to signify or could signify an upcoming move, right? And it's not just asking, do you want to buy with me? Do you want to sell your home, right? It's a little different way to phrase it. All right. Oh, now Tanya. All right, so that is a little bit about Sphere. Oops, I did something weird on our computer. Sorry, guys. Anything else on Zoom? No, we got all the Zoom chats. Then the last thing we're going to be talking about is farming. And farming is what I'm going to cover with you guys today. And I'll show you how to make a postcard, how to send a postcard, that type of stuff. What I want to talk about with that, as far as preparing yourself for farming, is that this is not a one and done type of thing. And there's a couple different things you can do. Today, I'm going to focus on farming in the sense of an actual specific area. So a lot of times you hear people sending out postcards, just sold, open house, just closed like that, but they do it around the property. That's called circle prospecting. So you have your property, right? And you're advertising in a circle around it. We're actually going to talk about farming a neighborhood. So you're going to pick your, 5-block radius, your subdivision that you want to work with, and you're going to continually touch them in the most appropriate way. And stay in front of them, darn. And stay in front of them so that by the time they get from the point of just learning who you are to the point of being ready to have that transaction, you're the only agent that they're thinking of. I know some of you guys are newer and some of you guys have seen me do this before. Erase this here. You're still all welcome. There's a couple things I want to talk to you about. One is, can somebody on Zoom, you guys get ready to either unmute or just type in the chat. When I say soda pop, anything like that, what brand do you think of first? Coke. I only heard one in Glen Ellen. What did we hear everywhere else? Nothing on Zoom. Nobody drinks soda anymore. Oh, Tassi. What did you guys hear in Naperville?
Pesky.
Yep.
That's what's saying soda.
What was that, Noel? Sorry.
You confused us with saying soda, so
I said both. Pop, soda pop.
no, those are the top two, right?
Right.
RC.
So you guys know there's other brands out there, right? But when you want one of those bubbly fizzy drinks, you're asking for a Coke or a Pepsi, right? Because why? They have your mind share, right? So we want to have your farm area, you need to have their mind share. So that when they think about real estate, they think about you. So this is not a one and done type of thing if you're working a farm. This is a system that you're going to build and continually reach out to them. Today we'll talk specifically about postcards. However, you can do other things like sending an email. Noel mentioned doing like a newsletter. How great would it be to be able to do, you could do a print one or you could do a digital one. Let people know what's going on in their town, right? Interview some local businesses, tell them what's available around them. I'm sure the business owners would love that too, right? I'm trying to close this pen and I'm drawing on myself. Now you know, I'll know my secret. The other thing I like to talk about as far as this goes is we've been talking about the life of a transaction. We just didn't draw it out. So I think this is just a nice way to have everybody kind of get it visually. Can we see that on Zoom? Did I draw it too high? Let me draw it a little lower on the board. And I know I've gone over this with some of you, and I'm sure Noel has with some of you in Naperville as well. So everybody runs their business a little bit different, right? I want to make sure I'm not cutting into Marty. Everybody runs their business a little bit different, right? And that's okay. That's the beauty of real estate and being a business owner, right? Is that you can make it your home. However, across the board, if you want to make it as simple as possible, there's typically 3 main parts of a real estate business. Ada, do you remember what this one is? Lead gen. Where do you start, right? You got to build the leads. And then once you have the leads, right? We got to follow up with them. And then down here, we have transacting business. So we know, according to NAR, if this dotted line here is somebody who is ready to go, it's a buyer that's ready to go on showings, it's a seller that's ready to have that listing agreement signed and get on the market. From this point to the closing table, it's about 7 to 10 weeks, maybe 6 to 10, depending on your market. Right now it's a little funky, right? Sometimes buyers are taking longer, sellers are going faster, but on average, that's what we're thinking. A lot of people, this is where they have all their systems, right? And that's why I need another marker color. We see this as far as income. Does anybody's business look like that? They have a bunch of closings, no closings, closings, no closings, right? We kind of get that roller coaster ride because this part isn't happening consistently. My pen's dying. So by staying top of mind and building that system to generate your leads, we get to this point where now, once you have the lead made, you just need to follow up with them. You need to stay in front of them. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So some people, they're like, okay, all right, I'm ready to go. And you're like, great. And then they're like, just kidding, this thing happened, right? And next thing you know, it's like 3 years later. Does that happen to anybody? Sometimes they're like, okay, I'm ready, let's go. And that's great. Sometimes that's 2 weeks, sometimes it's a year, right? You never know. But if you're not staying in touch with them, how are you going to get them to this line? Right? You guys want to stay in touch. You want to follow up frequently and consistently while you're coming from contribution, providing value to them. Does that make sense? Noel, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, it just reminds me of the other drawing that Jason Abrams does, right? Where he does the time in between the transactions, right? And if you get a lead towards the bottom of that, that time, we call it a bad lead, right? You said if you get a lead that's 18 months out, well, maybe they're not ready now. It doesn't mean they're a garbage lead, right? We just got to nurture them for the next 18 months until they're ready for that next purchase, right? So that's what that also helps me think about as well. So what's a time frame in between that, right? And that's like the follow-up is one of the most important things, because if you don't know what to say or when to say it, how to say it in between that time frame, then those leads are going to fall through the cracks. They're going to call someone on another app, or right, like you'll just lose them and staying instead of staying in front of them and being top of mind as well. So I think the middle portion of that is one of the most important parts, right? Because we can go to open houses, we can get referrals, we can get leads from Facebook, but if we don't have systems in place for that middle section, then again, they're going to fall through the cracks, and then we won't be able to do the transaction management part of it once they're ready for that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys can all see, but this is the arc that Noel was talking about. So sometimes people think if the transaction's up here, that's when we're happy. So that's why it's at the top, right? Because we have a closing, we're getting a paycheck, it's exciting, right? And a lot of people think that if you're at the bottom here at these X's, that it's a bad lead. And what Noel is saying is if you are doing that consistent follow-up, by the time they get up here, they're just going to come to you and say, hey, I'm ready to do X, Y, Z, right? Also,
Right. Amy, I think also like in conjunction with that is, after somebody buys a house, right? You don't want to be like, cool, thank you, I'm all done, appreciate the business. Sometimes we get repeat business, right? And I mean, we've had quite a few that have purchased condos, and now 2-3 years later, they're ready for their single family home, right? So, the next day after they close, of course, they're not going to buy another house, but how much time before that next transaction takes place, right? Even though we don't consider them a lead, or we're not thinking about them buying in the near future, they very well can be. And if we create some follow-up steps in between, then we can catch them on their next time they're going to do a transaction,
Yeah, and this is exactly what Amy was talking about at the beginning of class. She won the Smart Plan contest because we did one on following up after the closing, right? Oh, Marty's here. He's going to catch the last bit of our class here. I'm going to let him in. I let him in the class, you guys. So Amy won the contest here for creating a smart plan to get from this point and to keep going throughout, right? Because we know from transaction to transaction, they're typically 5 to 7 years, right? People move on an average of 5 to 7 years. So how do we make that system to follow up with them? The other thing I wanted to mention was that not only I have so many caps and pens in my hand right now, you guys, I don't even know where to start. Noel brought up a great point that some people are buying extra homes, right? Or they're giving referrals. So if you're not following up in between these two dots, how do you know? Can't see that one. We'll just do black again. I was trying to do different colors to make it fun for you guys. How do you know they're not going to have, a referral to give you right here? And so there's an extra transaction right there. Oh, my parents are retiring. They're moving to Florida. Okay, well, let me get a referral for that. I know some great agents in Florida, right? There's 2 more extra transactions you wouldn't have known about if you didn't follow up with them.
Homes, investment properties. I mean, yeah, there's definitely other types of business that can come from it.
Exactly. So with that said, that is where we wanted you guys to have your mindset going into how we're going to, like I said, show you the actual buttons to click and everything to do these lead gen techniques. And we actually have Marty in the room now. So he is going to kick us off with showing you guys how to do your Facebook ads, how you can create Facebook ads. And Marty, hi.
Hey.
Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Glad to be here. Facebook ads. I thought I was teaching smart plans.
Oh, yeah. No.
No, I'm just kidding, right? Yeah, Facebook ads. Let's do it.
That's a pivot. No. So Marty, thank you so much for joining us. I gave them a little recap of who you were, but if you want to share a little bit more, we would love to hear from you. And we did already talk about how Facebook ads are like online leads. So they're about 18 months out on average. That could be different, right? And we've been talking about like the mindset of it's not enough to just do the ad. You have to have that follow-up plan in place too. And that's where we are.
I love it. So for those of you that don't know me, yeah, Amy introduced me well there, Marty Miller. I am the regional technology trainer for the South Texas region. I'm also a MAPS technology coach. I live with my beautiful wife, our 3 amazing daughters, and our boxer Nacho in Katy, Texas, which is just outside of Houston. I've been with Keller Williams for going on 9 years now. I have been involved in production as a single agent. I was on a team, buyer's agent, listing agent, VP of sales, VP of expansion, became the president of that team, led that for about 4.5 years, and then was also a productivity coach for about 16 months as well before having the opportunity to join the RTT world. So that's me in a nutshell. Feel free to reach out at any time if you guys have any questions. Also, I'm going to have the chat open so you guys can ask questions there if you'd like, or feel free to raise your digital hand if you want to have a conversation. We can do that. Or my favorite, just interrupt, unmute yourself, throw out a question. So today we're going to talk about Facebook ads and how to run those through social campaigns inside of Command. One of the biggest things to kind of consider, I'll have a lot of people that ask me, well, Marty, I'm already doing Facebook ads and I'm doing them through, Ads Manager. Why would I use Command? First of all, a couple of things to consider. Last year in 2020, Keller Williams agents spent over $5 million. That's million dollars, right, on Facebook ads through the KW Command platform. Let me ask you this. If someone like Joanne is going big and she's got a big budget of $2,000 a month creating Facebook ads, she spent $24,000 at the end of the year. We'd like to think that the Facebook algorithm plays fair, and yet we probably know that it doesn't. Who's it going to give preferential treatment with regards to its ad placement and ad results? Joanne, who's spending a whole lot of money, don't get me wrong, at $24,000 a year, or the Keller Williams enterprise level account spending $5 million plus a year, right? And so that's one of the benefits of using the Facebook ad campaigns through Keller Williams is that it is an enterprise level account. The other thing is some people are out there using third-party aggregators, right? We were a Boomtown user on my team. And so Boomtown, you could actually pay, this was back pre-Command, so but you could pay Boomtown to run ads for you. However, kind of the dirty, dark secret was that only 70 cents of every dollar actually made it to Facebook. They were keeping 30 cents of every dollar kind of as their handling fees and marketing fees, etc. The other thing was I had zero control over what content was being run, and I had no guarantee that those leads weren't being sold to other agents. So think about it. If you are paying for online leads, can you absolutely guarantee that those leads are not being sold to any other real estate team, agent, or group across the nation? And so that's one of the nice things is that when you're running these ads inside of Command, 1, you control the content. 2, you control the budget. 3, 100% of that budget goes to Facebook. And 4, you can guarantee that those are your leads because they're coming directly back into your Command platform. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to talk a little bit about kind of the gist of running Facebook ads. I'm not going to give you a full kind of play-by-play because I assume that you guys have some working knowledge of this. And if not, you've got some amazing technology trainers that can do the nuts and bolts of it. But I wanted to highlight a couple of really important things that I think could be beneficial for you when you're running your ads. So we all know the megaphone icon here is our campaign icon. We're going to open that campaigns applet. with all things command, if I want to start something new, I'm going to start up here in the top right-hand corner with create a campaign. And we're going to do a paid social ad. So that's what we're really focusing on today. Now, campaign name, I would suggest being as specific as possible, especially if it is listing related and also with your dates. So if this is a just listed 123 Main Street, Katy, Texas, and I might put 08/17/21. Now, why am I putting the date in there? Tanya, you're going to run an ad. You're going to run it for 10 days. You're going to run it from today until the 27th. It's going to be amazing. It's going to create a ton of leads at a very low cost per lead. And you're going to say, this was such a good ad, I want to run it again. And so you're going to run it again. You're going to duplicate it and run. It's going to run for 10 more days. You're going to get results. But at some point, you're going to want to look back and say, hey, which one of those was which? Was there any difference in timing and framing? So adding the date just kind of helps you, especially if you are planning to duplicate and run an ad again. With regards to your goals, choose the one that makes the most sense. I'm just going to say advertise listing at this point. And then you all probably know that you do have the opportunity to run your ad on 1, 2, or 3 of the social media channels that are listed. So I could do Facebook alone, Facebook and Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or in a combination thereof. Today, we're really just going to focus on the Facebook ad channel. And so we'll click on create campaign from there. Once we open that up, we do have the opportunity to choose a listing if we want to focus on that listing, or if it's something like an event, a first-time home buyer seminar, or maybe you're even helping do recruiting for your market center. You're looking to grow your profit share tree. You could do something around looking for realtors that were looking to join Keller Williams. Those are a couple of examples that might not be 100% listing based, but you still want to run an ad for. As you get into the ad, you're going to come in here and you're going to deliver your main copy. You're going to work on a headline that makes sense, a call to action. You'll choose media. You can choose these from your designs library. You can select to upload something from your hard drive. Those are the 2 first steps, and I'm going to assume that you have some basic working knowledge of those. And if not, schedule an appointment with your market center tech trainer, and they can assist you with kind of choosing a listing, writing your ad copy, choosing media that's going to get people to click on your ad. What I wanted to focus on today really were the Facebook settings and lead settings. So if we go into Facebook settings, you're going to see the first thing that you do need to do is select a Facebook page. Now, when you connect Facebook to your Keller Williams Command account, you're basically just connecting your profile, which then may have 1 or more business pages associated with your profile. So if you'll see, for example, I have a Marty Miller with Keller Williams business page, and then I have my actual team business page. We've done the Evolve event. Many of you have probably participated in that over the last 2 years. So I'm actually an admin on that Facebook business page as well. So you can see I have 3 different pages that I can select from. You may only want to have 1 business page. That's cool. Just select that business page. But the next step, and this is one of the most important, and I'm so glad that they added this little recommended, and they took away they kind of changed some of the wording here. But with regards to destination, James, when you run an ad, what is your goal for running that ad? I assume it's going to be the same as Victoria's, and that is to create low-cost leads that you can then nurture over time and turn into a closing. When you are building out your ad, it is super important that if that is your goal, you use the Facebook lead generation form. Well, Marty, what's the difference? If you use Facebook lead generation form and someone clicks on your ad, a pop-up will come up on their screen and it will say, would you like to submit the following information to Maria Jackson real estate team, whatever Maria's business page might be. And it'll auto-populate the user's name, their Facebook profile email, right? Whatever email they use to log in. And then if their phone number is associated with their account, it'll populate the phone number. If not, they would be required to enter that phone number. So they then have a choice. They have clicked on the ad, but do they want to submit their information and become a lead in your database or not? So that's kind of the difference when you start looking at your ad metrics. The difference between clicks and leads is someone clicked on it and then they said, yeah, I don't know, that Meredith, she's a little, I don't know. Yeah, no, we all love Meredith. And of course we'd submit our information to her, But if someone did not, that's the difference between that click and the lead, right? So if you use site or a landing page, you basically get to bypass that information submission pop-up, which would mean that you as the agent would not garner any leads from that ad from Facebook specifically. Marty, why is it even an option then? Why would I ever want to use a site or landing page? Well, think about if you were doing an event. Maybe it is a first-time homebuyer seminar, and you already have that built out in Eventbrite. And there's a very specific form that they need to fill out in order to attend. They're going to get a digital ticket, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You don't necessarily want them to have to go through Facebook, right, and submit all their information to Facebook, and then get taken to Eventbrite and have to submit all their information a second time, right? We call that friction. That's two different places. I have to put my information. Now maybe I'm second guessing whether I want to attend your event or not because you're making me do a lot of work. So site or landing page will take someone directly to whatever site you put in, but just realize that if you want to capture the lead information, you would have to have some sort of lead capture form on that site or landing page that you sent them to. So like I said, the majority of the time, probably 95, if not more % of the time, you're going to want to make sure that Facebook lead generation form is connected. Your button label, not a lot of choices here. Learn more, you're probably going to use almost 100% of the time. But if for any reason you did have one of those seminars, you could use sign up. Maybe you're looking for new agents to join Keller Williams. You might do apply now, something along those lines. Website URL, this is where you're going to send the consumer. So whether it's the Eventbrite page, whether it's your landing page on your Keller Williams site, wherever you're planning on sending them to, this is where you want to put that URL. My recommendation always, right, is if you're going to send them to a listing specific page, send them to a page on your website, right? Why would you send them to somewhere like Zillow or Redfin or even your MLS, right? You want all of the information to come back to you. So let's say I was doing a listing on 27002 Skiers Crossing. I want to use this URL right here, right, as the URL that I would send them to. This would be the page that they would get to. Why? Whose listing is this? Looks like mine, doesn't it? Not my listing, right? But it says the source is Houston Association of Realtors. And if they wanted more information, they could ask me, they could schedule a video tour, right? All of the content comes back to me. They can even fill out a capture form at the bottom here. So if you are doing a listing specific, I would always recommend that this address be the address that you're putting in the website URL. You also have the ability to create, if you don't like this format and how this is laid out, you could even create your own custom landing page and use that landing page as well. Custom settings, though, this is kind of where we get to the meat and potatoes of what I want to talk about. Custom settings is your ability to really start fine-tuning your audience, right? And for those of you that are hunters, I'm not a hunter, so excuse me if I use this incorrectly. And yet, when we start using custom settings, we are basically putting our shotgun up and we're getting out the rifle, right? Now, when we shoot with the rifle, we only got one bullet. So we got to have really good aim, and there is a higher chance that we might not hit our target because we are literally using one bullet to attempt to hit that target. When we use a shotgun, we've got, you know, hundreds of rounds of pellets. If we're not that good of a target shooter, we probably still have a better chance of hitting our target, but whether you take down the target or not kind of depends on where you hit them. So when you get into custom settings, I just want to preface this with, there is a higher likelihood that you may receive fewer leads as we start diving into the custom settings. However, the quality of those leads may make up for the lack of quantity. So you're going to have to decide kind of as you get into this, but you can see that the default audience, first of all, is based upon either my GPS or wherever the listing is located that I selected. The radius is by default 20 miles from the city center of that location. If I come into custom settings, the first thing that you see is I have the ability to actually change that location. Maybe I want to advertise this property in Austin, right? Maybe there's a lot of skiers in Austin that would love to come check out a home that's basically built on a ski lake. So I could choose Austin, Texas, and now my ad is going to be targeted to the city center of Austin, Texas, with a 20-mile radius. Well, what might be even better is to target Lake Travis, right, or Lakeway, which is right outside of Austin, where Lake Travis is located, because I definitely have more skiers there, right? So figuring out what's the best location, more often than not, it is going to be your home location, right? I'm advertising a property in Katy. Why wouldn't I want people from Katy to see the ad? But there are additional opportunities where you might want to advertise outside of your home locale. The other thing is adding interest. So I wanted to show you that when we're targeting a custom audience, and that's this big button down here, add interests. This basically is using the Facebook interest groups. And you can see after I click on that, it's going to start bringing up, right, all of the different interest groups and their estimated audiences. Now, why would you want to use audience or interest groups to create those custom audiences? Well, think about it. Are there some interest groups inside of this actual list that are real estate based? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes, right? Everyone that's looking in the chat, I'm going to go ahead and post probably about a dozen of those that you may want to consider using when you're creating interest groups for your actual audiences. So you can see the first one is Zillow. Now, nobody really likes Zillow, but we also know a lot of our consumers might be using Zillow, right? And so we could say, let's use that as an interest group. Now, let me ask you, right? Somebody throw it in the chat, unmute yourselves, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down on your reactions. Would we use Premier Agent, Zillow, and Trulia when we're advertising a listing? Mark, you're on here twice, so I'm going to count on you to answer at least once. Gina, Tim, Tanya's smiling like she knows the answer. What's that, James? No, you would not want to use Premier Agent, Zillow, or Trulia, right? Because that's advertising your property to other agents. Ideally, your goal is to get leads, right? There's Amy with my thumbs down. Thank you, ma'am. I'm looking to get leads on this property that I can then turn into potential closings. When's the last time you met a real estate agent that was interested in buying a house with you, right? They worked hard to get their license. They're obviously going to buy it using that license. So we wouldn't want to use Premier Agent when we're advertising a listing. However, I gave you an example earlier in the class where using Premier Agent, Zillow, and Trulia might be a good idea. Anybody remember that example?
Recruiting.
Say it again.
Recruiting.
Absolutely, right? If I'm looking to grow my profit share tree by introducing people to Keller Williams, that's an opportunity to change their life. And I wanted to find a base of real estate agents to advertise to. What better than using Zillow and Trulia Premier Agents? Right? We already know they're paying money for leads, so there's an easy end. Stop paying for the leads. Let me show you a great way where you can stop paying $20 or $50 or $100 per lead and get them as low cost as $2 to $3 per lead. Oh, by the way, let me show you all the other technology, right? So just one example of kind of using your interest groups appropriately, right? Accordingly. So we're going to use Zillow and we're going to click on save. And then let's say we also wanted to come in and let's go realtor.com, right? Second one on that list, if you haven't already copied that list, excuse me. So we find realtor.com, there's a realtor.com pro. Same thing, right? Here's where the realtors hang out for your profit share ads. Here's where the consumers hang out for people that are interested in buying or selling property. So if I click on realtor.com and go to save, you can see that I now have two different interest groups, right? It's important to note that as you hover over, right, this is saying that adding more interest here will expand your audience to include more people. But I also have this narrow audience button, right? So if I click on narrow audience, right, I can continue to choose the different categories and I haven't maxed this out. I think I've had 10 at one point, right? So you're slowly just being real purposeful about, hey, I want to target individuals that are interested in this actual specific ad, right? So going in and saying, hey, who do I want to run the ad for? How many of you have actually thought about running an ad looking for real estate agents? Right? I know that if you were on calls earlier, we talked about having, recruiting based ads, and you may say, no, that's really for my team leader, or that's not my responsibility. Guys, profit share is passive income for years and years to come. And you can certainly do that just as easily inside of Facebook as well, right? So if you're looking to run ads, I would highly recommend targeting that Realtor Pro group and then the Zillow and Trulia Premier agents, because it's kind of fish in a barrel, right? You've already got those those agents ready to go for your interest groups. Now, the other option outside of target a custom audience is target my database. How do I target my database? First of all, you've got to have a database. Wow, Marty, that was shocking. I'm so glad I sat in on your 30-minute call here. But the reality is, yes, you've got to have a database, and you've got to have emails for those contacts in your database. More importantly, you've got to have at least 100 contacts in order to create a Facebook-based audience. And we've got to take it one more step. Raise your digital hand if you use your @Keller Williams address to log into Facebook. I don't see any hands going up, right? You've got to make sure that the contacts that you have in your database with emails are using the email inside of your database to log into their actual Facebook account. So I want to make sure that you understand that. I'm going to give you an example. So we're going to target my database, right? We're going to create a new audience of people to target. So I'm going to click on create new audience. Now I've got a bunch of Keller Williams agents in my database, and I would love to run an ad talking about the 30% referral fee that I will pay you to send me production-based leads in Katy, Texas. If you've got people looking to buy or sell in Katy, please send them to me. I will guarantee you a 30% referral fee. So I'm going to set up Keller Williams 30% referral list for Katy. All right, so here's my new audience name. And I'm going to target by tags, and I'm going to use the tag KW agent. You can see there's the tag that I can select. And I'm going to go and create that audience. Now, this wheel looks like the spinning wheel of death, and we're all familiar with of times past, but it's not really that. It's literally going through first. I have almost 6,000 contacts. So it's got to go through all of those contacts to see who's got the KW agent tag. Then I have about 1,300 people that have the KW agent tag. So it's slowly adding all of those people to this audience so that eventually I will have a custom audience of over 1,300 people, right? So now you can see that I'm back and it says audience list created successfully. So let's go in and you can see, here's my Keller Williams 30% referral list for Katy. And it says the audience count is 1,358 people. Yeah, right? That's gonna be an amazing ad. Think about all the people that are gonna see it. So I'm gonna click on using this audience, and then I get this little pop-up, ad little womp womp. We can run this ad for you, but based upon Facebook's guidelines, it may not get delivered correctly because the audience is too small. We recommend increasing your audience size. Well, what do you mean? I've got 1,300 people in this audience. How is that even possible? Well, again, how many of these 1,358 agents use what I most likely have as their kw.com email address to log into Facebook? So there are some great ways, especially if you're doing like hyper-local farming, right? If you have a directory, think about this. We just moved into a brand new neighborhood. Amazingly enough, and I'm still kind of shocked that we have this because I'm going to use the heck out of it. We actually have a neighborhood directory where every person in the neighborhood, well, we have access to their phone number, their email address, their name, and their address. I already had all of their names and addresses because I pulled that from tax records. I've actually been farming this neighborhood for several months, sending out just listed, just sold postcards, right? And I got those addresses from the tax records. So it actually has their name instead of, right, you can see mine, it's reversed, but you can read my name there, right? So I now have the ability to go into all of those contacts. You might have the ability, if you have access to a similar list, to add those contacts into Command, put their email address in, and there's a higher likelihood the email that they're using for the neighborhood, or think about alumni groups, think about any organization, church, past jobs, fraternity, sorority, any of that kind of stuff, anywhere where you have a list of people and their emails and you want to target them with a specific ad, that's a great opportunity for you to use the target my database option, as there's a higher likelihood that the email they're using there is the email they would sign into Facebook with, right? Does that make sense? So 2 different ad kind of strategies, if you will. Do I want to just let the algorithm do all of the work? In which case, I would just turn off custom settings and I would just identify where I want the ad to run, and it's going to run whether at my GPS location or wherever the listing is. And I'm just going to say, hey, here's where I want people to go. I want them to click on the ad and move forward from there. Or you can say, I want to get more specific about the audience, whether it's a smaller, just so you know, you can go down. If you come into your target a custom audience, you can go down as low as 15 miles. Now that's the minimum for your radius, but you could go up to 50 miles, right? Some of you may be in really rural areas. And if you say, hey, 20 miles around Katy, Texas will get me about 100 homes because they're all big ranches. They're not in Katy, I wish. And depending on your market, right, you might be able to say, is 20 a big enough radius? I can go all the way out to 50-mile radius, right? I can also then start getting into actual interests. And I posted a bunch there for you to kind of take a look at as recommendations for interests that might increase the quality of the leads that you're getting in through your Facebook ads. Finally, we've got lead settings, and I want to make sure that we pointed this out because this is a very new portion of your Facebook ad creation process. And that is the ability to now auto tag leads that are coming in from your campaign. Earlier, we named this ad, and we named it 123 Main Street, Katy, Texas. So I might want to create a tag, and I would have to do it before I got to this point that said 123 Main Street, Katy. I might create a tag that says Cinco Ranch, right? Where Cinco Ranch is the neighborhood where 123 Main Street is located. Why would I want to create a neighborhood-based tag? Guys, do any of you have plans to take more than one listing per neighborhood in your area? Well, what happens if you go to take the second listing and you have a list of leads who are interested in the first listing and yet weren't in a position or weren't ready to purchase it at that time? What a great way to go in and start advertising your new Cinco Ranch listing to all of your old Cinco Ranch leads, right? If you want to start getting them more engaged in conversation, send them additional properties, right? You might just come across some additional listings that aren't even yours. But again, you want to market to that ad group. Having those tags is a great way, right, to start. Think about it. If you're sitting across the dining room table from sellers and you say, as soon as you sign on this dotted line, I'm going to go ahead and run Facebook ads targeting people that I already know are interested buyers in our neighborhood. In fact, I've got 78 of them, interested buyers that have already expressed interest in buying in this neighborhood. And I'm going to go ahead and run an ad, email campaign, a targeted Facebook ad, and send out a mailer to all of those individuals, right, that may be interested right off the bat. I'm sure all the other realtors said they would do that too, right? Okay, great. Let's go ahead and sign the paperwork. The other thing that you have inside of lead settings is the ability to assign a smart plan. Anyone ever done any internet surfing after 10 o'clock? Like, don't worry, I'm not going to ask you what you were surfing. And yet there's a real high likelihood that you might be going to bed, can't sleep, pull out the phone, hit up Facebook, and you're like, huh, I do want to know more about the Flowbee, right? Does it really cut my hair with a vacuum cleaner? Click. And now all of a sudden, right, you've submitted your information to Flowbee and they're emailing you about their newest upgraded vacuum cleaner or hair cutter, right? Some of you are too young to even know what a Flowbee is, and that's okay. With Command right now, right, I don't know that you're sitting up at 10 p.m. waiting for notifications to come in. I doubt you're up at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m. Are you getting up, right? First thing you do is like brush your teeth and check Command at the same time. My guess is that's not happening. And yet we know that speed to lead with regards to engagement of our consumer is extremely important. You now have the ability to create custom smart plans where you can assign leads coming in on your ads that would immediately fire upon that lead being created. And you can see these are just some, smart plans that are in my library. I can decide which one I wanted to have. Because guys, life happens. You're sitting at the title company in the middle of a very heated closing and a lead comes in off of a Facebook ad. You can't exactly be like, excuse me, closer, could you stop the signing process so I can go call or text or email this lead? It just doesn't happen, right? We all need leverage in our world with regards to immediate and automated follow-up. That is your custom smart plans, and I'm sure someone's going to talk to you about it, but here's your ability to add those inside of your lead settings for your Facebook campaigns so that they are immediately getting hit with whatever your campaign has, right? Whatever your smart plan has, whether that's a text, whether it's an email, whether it's both. One side note, I would highly recommend that the first step of any of your follow-up smart plans be an email. And the reason being is that the text messages from Twilio, right? We don't want to be texting people at 2 a.m. Joanne, I love you, but I don't want you thinking that I'm up at 2 a.m. and sending you a text, because then you might be tempted to call me and then my phone's going off at 2 a.m. and that's never good, right? So the text messages that are coming out from smart plans do have a limited window, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. that they are firing, right? So if the first step of your follow-up smart plan is a text, it's going to wait until 10 a.m. to fire that text, maybe even a little bit later in the day. However, if there's an email associated with it, the email will go out immediately. And then the text will fire when the time is appropriate. So kind of a little nugget there on smart plans. If you're building out follow-up smart plans, the recommendation, email, then text message, so that at least the email gets delivered at 2 a.m. whenever you're clicking on your Flipbook ads or whatever it may be. So guys, that's really it for my time today, kind of talking to you about some of the intricacies of using your Facebook settings and your lead settings. Come up with amazing content inside of designs. Feature that on your ad. Don't be the realtor that just does the boring photo of the front of the house, right? Utilize designs, create really intriguing media, then get into those Facebook settings and create some of those custom audiences that may even increase the likelihood of converting those Facebook leads. Noel, Amy, any questions from the audience or anything else that I can help you guys with?
Anybody in the room have questions? First of all, thank you so much for zooming into our offices and our Zoom here today. We really appreciate you spending the time with us.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
Did anybody in the room or on Zoom have any questions you wanted us to relay for you? Naperville?
And here in Naperville, but Marty, thanks. Great content. Definitely went over some things that I think are typically not covered in a Facebook campaigns ad, right? With targeting your database and retargeting, right? Other leads that come in. So that's a very smart way to be able to just retarget and help increase the chances of converting some of those.
Absolutely.
Ooh, one came in from Zoom. Do you do anything with funnels with these Facebook leads?
So funnels, you're going to have to tell me a little bit more what you're referring to. I mean, obviously, yeah, go ahead.
I would say, Skylar, feel free to unmute if that's easier.
Yeah, so what's going on? So funnels as in like, do you do anything with qualifying the leads? Because I know I've been running the ads on Facebook, but a lot of the times it doesn't give you much information, right? They're just trying to click to get to where they want to go with, the landing page that you set. Yep. So have you done anything with funnels or anything with an external site or anything like that?
Yeah, no, personally, no. I'm not using any sort of additional third-party system. I mean, there are some different companies that you can look at, right? I mean, I know most recently Conversion Monster has now integrated with Command, and then that's basically an ISA-driven service that can call and follow up with your contacts or your leads. Just realize there's an additional cost that is associated with that. So, sure. Low-cost lead just got a little less low-cost lead when you're having them convert. But I think the important thing for me is setting up a smart plan that is detailed enough to provide them with content that they are more than likely to respond to. And so when I'm building out smart plans associated with Facebook ads, I have a smart plan for each ad. I know that sounds weird. You're like, that's a lot of work. And I want to make sure that one, I'm letting them know what they clicked on, right? Like at 2 a.m. and I'm clicking on Flowbee and I wake up in the morning and someone says, oh, thanks for clicking on that ad. I'm like, no idea what I clicked on. It was 2 a.m. I might've had a beverage or two, right? Like making sure that you say, hey, thanks so much for clicking on our ad at 123 Main Street located in the heart of Cinco Ranch. That beautiful property with a pool and 4 bedrooms. What specifically interested you in that property itself? Was it the amazing views? Was it the low tax rate? Was it the amazing school scores? If you'd like information on any of that, please let me know, right? So then you're being very specific with the follow-up. When I'm sending you additional properties to look at, I'm sending you additional properties in Cinco Ranch in my smart plan because you clicked on a property in Cinco Ranch, right? And so it's not very difficult to copy a smart plan and then just change a couple of steps that are then now hyper-focused on that address. But I think that's really the kind of the crux that I see is a lot of people, there are a lot of great Facebook follow-up smart plans in our library. Take them at face value and then kind of make them your own and make them specific to that ad. Because if you just say, hey, thanks for clicking on the ad, did you have any questions? I'm not going to respond because transparently, I'm not sure what I clicked on. Or I clicked on a lot of things that I don't know who you are. Or, you know what I mean? I don't know. It just had a pretty house. Wow, it does have low tax. What's the tax rate? Now I'm interested. Oh, it has really good scores? Oh, I didn't know anything about the schools there in Katy. Tell me more, right? So yeah, as far as that goes, I think the funnel really revolves around the smart plan and making it hyper specific.
Okay, I appreciate that. And then just last question for you. I mean, I've been watching your 66-day command challenges since 2019. I think that's when you first did the first one, right? So I was doing that summer while I was getting sort of started and diving into the business. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for that service. It's been super helpful.
Sure.
So then right now, what is your average with these Facebook leads? What is your average time from getting that lead, qualifying it, to getting to the closing table? Do you have that all mapped out? And what is your average time right now?
Yeah, I don't believe that I have enough quantity to deliver a qualified response there because again, production is not my one thing. Obviously, being a MAPS coach, being a regional technology trainer, I am doing production based primarily on referral-based and neighborhood-based farming just for my neighborhood. But I will tell you from a larger picture of conversations that I've had with people that are doing this kind of as their one thing, typically your follow-up is going to need to be anywhere from 12 to 18 months. And it's going to have to be consistent over time, right? You can't just, oh, Facebook leads suck. I called them twice, I texted them once, and I sent them an email, right? So typically I would say that your average conversion ratio is 12 to 18 months. And don't expect a response within the first 3, 4, 5. I think they say the average response is on the 6th, 7th, 8th attempt. Because when I first clicked on that ad, I was in voyeur mode, which means I was just kind of checking it out. I don't know. Maybe I'll move, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll cut my hair, maybe I won't, right? Like I'm not quite ready to make a commitment. But as you continue to send me more and more content that feeds my need to move or cut my hair, right? Like now I'm finally interested in saying, okay, I do want to go ahead and see some houses in Katy because now I'm well informed about the tax rates. I'm well informed about the schools. I know a lot about the HOA. I've seen 15 different properties because this guy keeps sending me properties that are intriguing. And now after 3 months of getting your text messages and getting your emails, I'm finally ready to commit to letting you know that I am a real person and I would like to see that house. So it's a long game and you just have to commit to it. That's why smart plans are important because they make that consistent follow-up much easier.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Marty. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure to sit in this class with you.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me.
Hey, Marty, I'd like to know how you can text when a lot of the numbers the phone numbers I get back are 555, 555, 555. You know, you can't text if it's bad numbers.
And did you know that that's Batman's phone number?
I do now. Thanks.
That's the phone number I get associated with Batman when he comes into my database. Yeah. So, I mean, the reality is you're going to get bad information. Just the reality, right? So I'm setting up that smart plan with the assumption that the information is going to be valid. And the reality that I know that not all of it will be. And typically, right, when people don't have a phone number associated with their Facebook account, they're going to give me a fake phone number. However, most people don't take the time to change the email. Like, you'd be amazed, right? They're like, well, whatever. Oh, you want my phone number? I'm not giving you my phone number. 2275555, right? 867-5309 is another popular one, right? So yeah, some of you will get that, some of you won't. But basically just focusing on, hey, you know what? I'm going to hit you with all the different methods. And even if I call and it says this is not a working number, I'm going to assume that the email is still going out and that that's a valid and consistent number. I also think having something in the smart plan that says, hey, I also wanted to send you a text just confirming that this is your correct phone number, and making that at like step 3, step 4, step 5, while you kind of garnered the right for the relationship, then sometimes you will get an email back that says, oh, I think I fat fingered that. It's not actually 5555555. It's 2247934. I have really fat fingers, right? So yeah, just make the assumption that the information is good, but in the back of your mind, know that there's a likelihood that it's not.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, this is Chris Nava with Keller Williams Experience in Downers Grove. Do you ever screen any of your leads like through Forewarn?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've had people ask that. I've had people say, you know, fastpeoplesearch.com, whitepages.com. There's a lot of sites out there. No, right? That's a quick and easy answer for that. I'm letting my smart plans do the screening of them. Because again, the amount of work that it would take to go in and, like, you know, there's a lot of common names out there. And now I'm like, well, is this the Amy Stack or is this, I mean, luckily Amy has a really unique last name, so I would probably know if it was her. But if it was just Amy Stack, then there might be a lot of Amy Stacks, right? In the state of Illinois or wherever it may be. So again, ROI includes your time. And if I sat there and spent 10 minutes looking up every lead to realize that there really are not 10 Tom Cruises in Downers Grove, right? Like, that's just now annoying me even further. So let the smart plan do the heavy lifting and let it convert, do the phone calls. If for any reason someone does express interest via email and yet you cannot get a hold of them via phone number, that's the one time where I'd be like, look, they're already on the hook via email. We're having some communication, but I know this number is fake because it says not a working number. Then I might screen it, and right. That would be the only time I would probably do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Marty. You had lots of great insights. I do want to remind everybody that we do hold Command on Demand 9 times a week. So if you guys want to dig into any of these techniques, we are here to help with that as well. Specifically, Marty brought up a fact that you can target areas outside of the area you currently live in. I get a lot of questions about that, of like, how do I find out who's moving into my area? So we can do ads based on that too.
I bet if you went to Command on Demand, they would probably show you how to find the top 20 cities where people were moving from when they moved to your hometown. I'm just throwing that out there. Little nugget that I'm pretty sure Amy, Noel, and the rest of your tech team could teach you how to find out quickly and easily if you go to Command on Demand. So yeah, show up and ask that question.
Yeah,
say, Marty said you could help me find the top 20 cities. Watch how quickly they can help you do that.
We're ready for you. So it's 11 and 3 Monday through Friday, except Monday, it's only at 3. So 11 and 3, Tuesday through Friday, 3 o'clock only at Monday. Yep. All right. Well, thank you, Marty. I know we want to respect your time. I told you only 1:30, so you stayed late already. I love it. Thank you so much. And we got some chats coming in Zoom saying thank you. Great presentation, very relevant. And with that, I guess we'll let you get on with your day and enjoy your new home. And Noel is going to come talk about Sphere follow-up.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks again, Marty. Cool. So let me share my screen and I will go over some different strategies that you guys can use for nurturing your Sphere. All right, awesome. So you should be able to see this here. Now, some of them are already built into smart plans, or you should be using some of these. And we'll talk about kind of the why behind some of this as well, right? One of my favorite ones on here is a quarterly call plan, right? Because one thing that I didn't really realize when I came into this business, what it made me realize was how often I was not talking to my people that I know, right? And I think we all have friends, old work colleagues, people from the past that we used to be really, really close with, that we just somehow our lives got busy and we just haven't communicated with them in quite a while, right? I think if you need to be reminded, right? If life gets busy, work gets busy, if you don't have something reminding you when to reach out to these people, you'll be surprised how much time goes by before you even realize it. So I think all of your people within your sphere, you should put them on a quarterly call plan, right? It's a very easy, smart plan. It's already in command. And what this does, it just reminds you to make a call with whoever is on this plan. Now, if you're scared to call, right, send a text message, send a Facebook, like have some type of conversation with them, catch up, right? Talk about a vacation they went on or something along those lines, right? But this will allow you to at least check in and have a conversation with them 4 times out of the year. Okay, and then it's gonna reset every 90 days. It's gonna have a delay, and it's gonna repeat this exact smart plan, right? So that's step 1, right? Put all the people that you want to or need to communicate with on a quarterly call plan, so that way you don't miss a beat and go years without speaking to somebody. Okay, another, and again, some of these are smart plans you can just use right off the bat that is going to make it easier for you to remember and to check things off the list as well. Another one that I think can be very useful. Now, of course, you do need their address, but will be a neighborhood nurture. Now, I have in the smart plan library a monthly neighborhood nurture intro, because I didn't want to just start putting people on this neighborhood nurture and they're like, wait, why am I getting this? What does it mean? Right. So I created like an email that just talks about how we have this new feature where we're partnered with the neighborhood next door, where we can help provide local, hyper local insights on their neighborhood, right? Properties that are selling, because people don't care about what's selling in the entire city or in the entire zip code, but they probably care about what's selling in their neighborhood. So if we can give them that information on a monthly basis, I think it's valuable, right? And this just kind of talks about what that feature is, and it's kind of preparing them to start receiving these monthly updates, right? So now I'm kind of setting the stage, and now forever until they, unsubscribe or get out of this, they're gonna get something monthly from me with my picture going over some of the data on here, right? So it's another easy way of just being able to put somebody on a smart plan and stay in front of them. So again, this one, and it'll give you a little breakdown of how some smart plans or ways you can use smart plans. But what I did is I took the initial neighborhood nurture here, and I just created my single step of sending an email saying, here's what this is about. And then I set a 1-day delay. And then there's an action step here that says add a smart plan. So I just added them to my monthly neighborhood nurture smart plan, right? But you can do that with any smart plan you have together. People often talk about how do they do a 36 touch campaign or a monthly newsletter. This is how you can do that, right? Because smart plans are only restricted to 90 days. So I can have Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and then I can link this. If this was Q1, I can link it to Q2, right? And I can link them and chain link them all together, so that way it's flowing through the entire year. So neighborhood nurture is another good one, right? But of course you need their addresses for that. This one here, home anniversaries. So if you have people that have purchased homes with you, right? Put them on a home anniversary. So that way it's an additional touch out of the year that you can reach out to them to recognize them or just chime in. And I've had a lot of good feedback on this too, where people are like, oh my God, it's been a year already. I didn't even remember the day I bought my house, right? And I always get thank yous returned back. But this smart plan already exists, right? And it has several steps of things you can do, right? The first one says send a gift, or you can say send a card, right? So we send cards, on our team. So a week in advance, we send out a card that says happy first year, second year, third year anniversary. Then there's a delay for 6 days. And then it reminds us to call the client, right? So then we can call them, text them, and just have those additional touches from here as well. Another smart plan is birthdays, right? It's, I don't know about you guys, but on my birthday, one of my favorite things is just feeling all the love from everybody around me, right? Just getting all the birthday wishes and stuff like that. I feel awesome on my birthday. So we should be doing the same thing to the people that we're connected with as well. And Facebook is a great platform for that. So we not only, and that's an easy way to find people's birthdays, right? So we've gone on and done the time to capture their birthdays, where we put them on a smart plan, we send out cards, we post on their wall, we send out text messages. But again, this smart plan will tie to their birthday. So that way you don't have to remember. It's going to remind you a week in advance to send something out. And it'll remind you 4 days later to give them a call, right? And then it'll remind you to post on their social media and send a text message, right? And if you had Twilio, you can automate the text message, or you can turn that service off and just do it manually yourself as well. There's also options to do dynamic text messaging on here, right? So this is where if I had someone on a smart plan, well, every year I don't want to send them the exact same message, but I might want that message to change a little bit, right? So I can set up dynamic, and I can have multiple messages that will get sent out every time this smart plan restarts, right? So it's just a different way to have a different message instead of it being the same all the time. So, and to go with smart plans like that, I'm sorry, with birthdays, that's one of my biggest ahas, I think, with KW that I can thank Cheryl McDonald for, because she was like, well, if you have people on, like, do you wish people on Facebook happy birthday? You know, and if you don't, then like, why do you have them on your Facebook, right? And to be honest with you, it's a way that I used to kind of filter through my friends on Facebook. If I'm friends with somebody and I've been friends with them for years, and maybe not, I'm not talking about a childhood friend or a coworker or someone I really don't know, but we've connected, they've sent me a friend request. And if I look at our friendship and there's a toggle on there that goes to friendship, and you can see your common interactions. If you post it on their wall, they post it on your wall. Every once in a while, if there's someone I don't really recognize or we don't have a strong relationship, I'll click to see our friendship. And if every single year it's just me wishing them happy birthday, I remove them from my friends, right? Because time is precious. I only have so much time to dedicate to social media. Half of it gets consumed with ads that are on social media. So I want to be purposeful with the people that I'm seeing and how I'm engaging with them. So if somebody just connected with me just to connect with me, but they don't even wish you a happy birthday, or they don't comment on or anything like that, it's my way of filtering them out. But again, it's a good way for you to recognize people on their special day and take it a step further, right? Instead of just posting on their wall, send them a message, right? And ask them how their birthday went or what plans do they have for their birthday, right? It creates more of a two-way conversation instead of just saying happy birthday. And then what are they going to say? They're going to like your post, or they're going to say, well, thank you, right? But if you ask a question, then it can turn into more of a conversation just based on their birthday. I've gotten business from this too, where I've wished someone happy birthday, and next thing you know, their reply is like, hey, thank you, right? By the way, we're thinking about buying a house and we want to talk to you about it. And I'm like, look at that, perfect timing, right? I mean it genuinely when I'm sending out birthday wishes. I'm not just thinking like, who's going to buy a house for me, right? I do it to agents, I do it to everybody, right? I just want to have the reciprocity of how I feel on my special day. So, but enough about birthdays though. And again, social media is a very, I think, a huge way that you guys can be connecting with your sphere of influence, because most people are putting everything that is going on in their lives, good, bad, or ugly, right? They're putting it on their walls and on their channels. And that's good information. When we talk about making calls and talking to your sphere, we talk about the Ford method, right? Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Well, those are the things that people are posting on there, right? So it's a good topic. If you don't know what to say or what to talk about, they're going to give you some content that you can talk around as well. The next thing that I want to touch on is events. So events is another way that you can work your sphere, right? We just did one this last weekend, right? This past Sunday on August 15th. And we used smart plans and email campaigns to send this out. So even if you don't have clients or you can do this with your sphere of influence just to bring recognition to your business and to let people know that, like this event we did was for our VIPs. So not everybody bought a house with us that came to this event, but these are the people that support us. They comment on, they share our posts, they send us referrals, they do all these different activities. And what are we doing to thank them or to help reward the behavior, right? Because if you reward the behavior, whether it turned into a deal or not, they're going to be thinking of you in the future, right? When they hear of somebody looking to buy or sell, right? So we already got a lead from this, right? From this past Sunday. So all I got to do is convert that lead, is close it, and then it pays for itself. It more than paid for the event, right? But events are a great way to do it. Not only have we done this, we've done, so we've got VIP events, client appreciation events. We've done pie giveaways, right? Like around Thanksgiving time. We've done pie giveaways to our sphere, to past clients. We've done raffles as well, right? So you can extend that outreach to your sphere. And, I think we all assume that just because you announce to your sphere and your friends and family that you're a realtor, that people are just going to automatically refer you to them. Sometimes we need to teach them how to refer us. We need to teach them if they hear somebody talking about real estate, right? I'm sure we've all had it where someone's like, hey, I know somebody buying in this area, or they're looking to buy this type of home. Like, do you help with that? Right. And I'm like, yeah, like, you don't see my posts all the time, right? Like, of course. But how can they help identify those opportunities and not only just give out your business card, but how can they create an introduction, right? That's at the end of the day, that's what we're striving for on our team is like, great, I appreciate you shouting me out or giving my business card out, but can you introduce us on email or in a text message, right? That's much more powerful, right? And then we can help engage from there as well. So client events is kind of one of our big things that we're really focusing on this year and also next year. I attended a class in Mega Camp a couple years back, and there was a team that was killing it doing client events. They don't do door knocking, they don't do cold calls. They said they do 12 events a year and they sell hundreds of homes. And I thought, man, what a fun way to work, right? So we did this past weekend. It was work. Patricia was definitely tired and she's like, I'm exhausted from these events. But I said, yeah, it's still work, but did you have fun, right? And I had fun, right? I had more fun, doing that than maybe some other activities. So this is a good way to, again, work your sphere. We also want to think through follow-ups on how you do this, right? Because just like Facebook ads or farming or whatever that strategy is going to be, the key is also in the follow-up, right? So with follow-up, right, we have different follow-ups, smart plans, reminders, right, birthday plans, right? So we create them in here so then when we do capture those people, we can put them on a plan and it can do some of the automated stuff for us on the back end as well. Okay, so don't forget to set up your smart plans before you start really diving into one of the different strategies. So that way you don't spend money and then have things fall through the cracks. Okay, another option that you can do is right within Keller Command is there's a platform within Designs that you can create these magazines, right? They're quarterly magazines. And this is the most recent one that came out for the summer, right? So they have quarter 1, 2, and 3 out. And you can see for the first picture, they give you 3 different options of the cover photo, right? So this really does the heavy lifting for you. You can change your name, office name, your logo on here. And there's some good content. You can add or remove or change anything that's on here, right? But you can have a note from yourself to whoever this is going to be, future clients. Maybe this is your neighbor, maybe this is your neighbors that you're trying to farm and you want to send these out. Maybe it's your friends and family, right? So you can fully customize this, but there's some good stats, right? If you're farming your neighborhood, you can get hyper local on that specific neighborhood and show them how many number of homes sold, this past quarter, what the average sales price is, days on market, right? And then maybe what our company's done in comparison with that. These are pre-made items, right? So these are buyer and seller frequently asked questions, right? So they put all this content is already made. I didn't have to do anything but customize certain things, right? So frequently asked questions, you can add feature listings, right? So again, if you're farming a neighborhood and you're highlighting a listing in that neighborhood, it'd be a good idea to feature that, right? So they can see that you have experience in the neighborhood. Fun little ways, right, that you can kind of give to clients on how they can stay cool, right, in the summer. So here's 10 different ways they can, you know, use water or, you know, sprinklers, slip and slide, squirt guns, right? Different activities they can do to help stay cool during the hot months. You can go over this. This is kind of your agent resume, right? If you're a new agent, simply just delete this page and don't include it, right? They're not even going to notice that it was there. If you had some recently closed deals, you can ask permission from some clients to put some testimonials in here as well. And then that way they can see what other people are saying about the experience they had with you, or, you know, whatever they have about the transaction itself. And then there's something on budgeting, right? So, you know, budgeting talks about just shortcuts on summertime energy saving items, right? So here's some good tips here. Hottest listings over the spring, over the summer, right? You can highlight different things as well. You can have an ask an agent portion, right? So you can ask maybe a common question that you're receiving or something that you feel may be valuable, and you can put that information right on here. And then last page is just kind of a link where you can insert your personal URL, so that way people can download your app. And right, if you have someone in your neighborhood that downloads this and they get linked directly to you, you may get a lead captured in Command that could be a potential neighbor that's looking to buy, right? Now, how do you do this, right? So when you go into designs and you click on created designs, you're going to find that under the print tab here. So if I click create, we'll let it load up, and that's going to be under the lead generation tab, personally branded zine. Okay, and you can see here's Q1, Q2, Q3. Right, and then if you click use, it'll pull up the entire template of everything that's in there, and then you can pick and choose which one of these you want to use. Right, so I can add this in here, and then again, any of these items I can fully customize. Right, and then when I go through, I can choose which ones I want to add within here. Right, and then it's going to add those additional ones here. We also do have, this is where you can keep track of the pages that you have. Right, so this one will actually delete. Right, but this is how you can reorganize them, you can duplicate them, you can kind of move back and forth to, you know, further customize them. I see, it looks like we have a couple questions in the chat. Maria Jackson, where do you find this? Is this, I'm hoping this is what you were asking for, Maria, so let me know if not. But yeah, this is where you can find your magazine. Yep, perfect. So you found the magazine. Do you see the templates on the left-hand side here?
Yeah, so when I click on it.
You'll click on the plus sign, and that'll add that into the place where you're gonna edit it from here.
So even if I click on plus, I'm only seeing one page.
Okay, I'll take a look afterwards. We're gonna do a workshop afterwards. So if there's anything that you guys want to narrow in on, whether it's a Facebook ad, if it's a direct mail piece or a magazine, right, we'll be around to kind of help show you guys along the way as well. Yeah, so question was, did the magazine just start 3 months ago? No, Q1 is when they launched it. So we've got 3 quarters now of this year, correct? Yeah, it's a great place, and you know, you can order prints, you can get them, you know, printed out and binded. Like, you can do a lot of different options with this, and the content's great. You can go in here and change some of the content if you don't like certain things within it, right? But it's very user friendly on just changing that, right?
Can it be sent electronically?
So we have a question on, can this be sent electronically? You can. It's not my favorite thing to do. Like, I don't send them, because what you would do is you would basically embed a PDF into like an email, and if the quality is not amazing, the words might not be as clear, right? It's basically putting like a picture within a PDF for them to read, right? So
I just figured it was.
no, it's only for print. But could you take some of this content and make it into like an HTML newsletter, right? Maybe you can break this in, right? They gave you 3 different options here that had content created, right? So they have offer at the table. You've got home decor trends to try. And then you have increasing your home's value with these little tweaks. So maybe one of those can be like, you can break that into 3 months worth of newsletters, right? So you can have one for each month, right? So you can repurpose some of the content, I believe, on here too.
I just figured you would send it in an email, so let me ask you, how do you send it?
We don't do the magazines.
You don't do it.
Yeah, on here, but you can print them out. What we've heard people that are doing them, they're printing them out and they're putting them like in their farm. So especially if you want to highlight certain numbers of sales in that neighborhood, or if you want to highlight a featured listing, things like that. Why not print, a handful of those out and pass them to your neighbors, right?
Now, I know that you know about Google Docs.
Mhm.
I don't.
Sure.
Have yet to explore that. So let me ask you this. Could you create an HTML of the face of the magazine where you could superimpose a button over it that says read now or download now? And when you click on it and make the whole graphic a hot link, or it takes you to maybe a Google Doc that essentially renders the document and allows you to download it as well.
Sure. Okay. So the question was, can we utilize Google Docs to essentially try to bring this in? Here's what I'll say about that, right? I think what you can do is you can download this magazine and you can put it in your Google Drive, this exact magazine, right? And it'll have the PDFs kind of like here.
Will the hot links still work?
Yeah, so you'll take the link, right? You just have to make it shareable to anyone that has the link, not anyone that's within your organization. So you can essentially say, like if you had an email to say, click here for my quarterly magazine that goes over, here's some things that it covers, right? And then if they click on that, it pulls up this this page here within your Google Drive, and now they have access to the magazine from here digitally.
And the hot links that are embedded in the magazine will still work that way?
There's no because again, there's no hot links in here. This is more for a print magazine.
Not even for your email or stuff like that? On the
Nope.
contact page? Okay,
No, because it's made for print.
I see.
It's made for print, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Yeah, and Amy said that you can share it as a digital flip book too. So I know there's software that you can have where they can like flip through the page like it's a digital book.
I think if you hit the share button in the design screen, it'll give you a link for that.
Really? That's new.
And then do this project instead of this design at the top of that. There you go.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, so here's where you can choose anyone can view. You can easily share this, right, with these different places. And then here's a link that they can come in and view this from here as well. Cool. And then one of my favorite topics that that just recently came out, or different ideas that came from the Pivot Shift Ahead group, is a golden letter, right? So if you guys haven't heard about this, I think it's genius. And we just heard about an agent in our office that did it a few weeks back. And in the first week of doing this, she got 4 listing appointments, which is amazing. But a golden letter, right? So it's basically, you can send this to your sphere. We're also going to be sending this to our neighbors, different farming areas that we want to farm as well. And it just basically states, right? Like, dear friends and family, as you may know, real estate market's incredibly competitive. Interest rates are record lows. Home buyer demand is record high. The challenge we're having is lack of inventory. Based on the state of the market, I'd like to ask for a favor. Who do you know that may be thinking of moving in the next 30 to 90 days, right? If not, maybe 3 to 6 months out. Will you introduce us? We have tons of buyers that have flexible timing that could potentially be a perfect solution for any sellers that you may know. Feel free to contact me with our name and contact information. Our passions to help buyers and sellers find solutions for their real estate needs. Now that the market is in such an intense state, we understand that our resources are valued now more than ever. If you can't think of anyone at this very moment, please keep our team in mind. We have a goal to help 45 plus families follow their dreams of home ownership before the end of the year. Your support is greatly appreciated, right? So this is one thing that you can send via email. We're actually printing letters out and we're handwriting the addresses on the envelopes and mailing them out from there, right? So that's the whole point of the golden letter. And I think it's genius. It's a good way to reach out to, you're letting people know, right? This is how you can support me. Like, please, if you hear of anyone, right, think of us, right? So it's a good touch that you can send out, even if there's been people in your sphere that you haven't talked to in quite a while. Send them a golden letter, right? It's a good way to maybe break the ice and to get them potentially thinking about you for real estate, right? And then you can also, we realize that we don't have everyone's address in our sphere of influence. So aside from just doing the actual physical mailings, we made it into an email campaign here, right? And then when you send it out, like it's all here, it's all branded to you, and you can edit this to look however you'd like as well. Cool.
Send out golden letters to return address, in the upper left corner.
Yeah, so the question was, when we send out golden letters, do we include the return address? And yeah, we will handwrite the address. Again, it'll have my name. It won't say Keller Williams on it, right? They'll see that when they open up the email. But especially for our sphere of influence, I think that's the biggest impact that this letter can have, because those people know you. Oh, I got a letter from Chris, right? What is this about? And oh, great, like he's got clients that may be looking to sell, right? So who may they know that they can refer you to, right? So it just brings awareness, I think, at a higher level.
So you put your name, not Keller Williams. Will you put the corporate address here, or will you put your home address?
No, I'll put the office address. So we'll put our name, and then the office address, and then inside it'll have Keller, like it'll be on a letterhead that has, so that way we're not getting in trouble with not having our brokerage on there. Cool. But that pretty much covers sphere of influence, some different strategies that you can use. So hopefully everyone picks something out of this, right? I think these are all great ways. At the end of the day, I think we need more than one, right? We need to figure out how are we're gonna nurture the people that are closest to us and just stay top of mind, right? Amy did the test earlier, Coke and Pepsi. Those aren't the only colas around, right? There's RC, there's other colas, but whenever people get asked that question, they automatically think Coke and Pepsi, right? So maybe you're not the number one realtor. Maybe they have a family member or a friend or someone else, but maybe you can be the second runner up, right? And you never know, agents get out of the business, agents move. You never know when you might come into place, or someone might have a bad experience. I mean, I've had people reach out to me that I thought there was no way that I would be able to help them in real estate, because we have a mutual friend that's also an agent. And they were just like, we want you to represent us, And I was like, wow, I didn't even think about it, So how can you have the mind share within your own sphere of influence? At the end of the day, I think it could be one of the most rewarding ways to build your business. And I think even cost effective, right? There's a lot of money you can spend out there, but if you get people to support you and you create your raging fans, it's awesome to see the momentum that gets picked up from that group of people. Any questions? Anyone on Zoom that has questions that maybe I can dive a little deeper in or further discuss?
Noel, for that,
Got one here.
letter,
Sure.
there's a template for that, or you draft?
Yeah, the question was, is there a template for the golden letter? And yeah, if you're part of the pivot, the shift group in Facebook by James Shaw, in the files there, he has a template for the golden letter. So you can go in there and download it. You can tweak it. We kept ours pretty much the same because it's the information's just good. Super. Yeah, look it up. Pivot, it's called Pivot Shift Ahead, I believe. Okay, and Amy said that there's also a couple golden letter smart plans as well, right? So see, people are already taking this to the next level where they're creating a smart plan out of this, and maybe there's additional steps following up, right? Yeah, so here's. I realized I wasn't sharing this. Yeah, I think Monday through Friday at 7 or 7:30. 7 o'clock, okay. Yep, so he does it. So here's the Pivot Shift Ahead group here. Right, so you can just easily go here. I'm not logged in to Facebook, but you can join the group, and then you'll see this idea came from this group. So if you're following, you never know where you may get the next great idea for that you can implement in your business. Yep. Any other questions? Anyone in April? Good. What about Downers or Glen Ellen? Zoom?
I don't think we have any in the office.
Awesome.
I don't see
Well, if
any.
anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to dive in and help in any way that I can.
All right. Well, then our last topic of the day is going to be direct mail. Yeah. And I can use my hands. You guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah,
You're
okay,
good.
perfect. Okay, so I am going to reshare my screen, and what we're going to do is look at the different ways you can create postcards and how you can send them out through command or order prints for you to then send out yourself if you want to do self-addressed or hand stamp or anything like that. 1 second here. Oops. And there we go. Everybody see the screen okay? Make it a little bigger.
We can see it on our end.
Okay, perfect. I lost my mouse though. Uh-oh. Did my mouse just die, you guys? Nobody sees the cursor, right? 1 second, technical difficulties.
Oh, but you had it all planned out this morning. You say you didn't have any problems.
I did. I got it all set up for us this morning. Those are dead, but I have an extra one right here. You have it all planned out, Joe.
I forget to turn mine on all the time.
It's on. It's definitely on. It just stopped in the middle. There, now my light's back on. Sorry about that, guys. All right, there we go. That was fun. Mouse dies in the middle of class. Okay, so we are in command, of course. And what I want to start with is one of the easiest ways to do a postcard. So Marty showed us a little bit of the campaigns feature already, and we did Facebook ads through that. We're going to go into that megaphone just like he did, but we're going to choose direct mail instead of Facebook ads. So I'm going to click the megaphone. And I want to remind everybody that you can use this for several reasons. Ooh, something came in on the chat. Oh, just a yes. Thanks for letting me know you can see. You can use these for circle prospecting. You can use this in a plan, just like Noel was talking about. So you can use your postcards as a way to reach out to your sphere. And you can use them for farming. So we talked a little bit earlier about how you have to be in the right mindset and you have to be prepared to continually send these out. So I want to remind you that this is not a one and done type of thing. If farming is the way you want to lead gen, you need to keep up with it. You need to be continuous and have a system around it. Send it out every month, send it to the same people, that type of thing. So we can always dig into that more if you guys have questions about that. But I'm going to go ahead. I clicked on campaigns. And then if you want to see what you had been doing in campaigns, as far as mail is concerned, you can go to direct mail and that will show you any that you've sent out or have in draft form. And to start a brand new one, it's all the way in the bottom right-hand corner. You're going to hit that blue plus sign. I think the button's going to move up to the top right later. So just keep an eye out for that update. And then we want direct mail because that's a postcard, right? So the easiest way to do direct mail is to come through here and use the templates. You can absolutely create your own design if you want to do that inside designs and then upload it in here as well. So let's say these are all of your goals, very similar to the Facebook ad. This is not something that the public will see. This is just for your tracking purposes. So what is the goal of this postcard that we're sending out? Today, let's say attract listings. And we'll just call it test 1, 2, 3. Again, the name is just for you. Nobody else will see that. And you just hit create. So the easiest way to go through and create this is actually to use, there are multiple templates to choose from. So I'm going to start with that. We'll just show you how using the template in place works for you. So we're going to click on content on the left-hand side. And you'll see you can select template or upload design. So you do have that option to create one separately and upload it. We're going to use the templates that are already in here. And you'll see we can choose from compact 4x6, or I can click on that and get some more options. I always recommend using the 6x9 or 6x11. Those 4x6 ones tend to get a little chewed up in the mail. They're little, they get lost, people don't see them. They're not as exciting. You can't put as much information on them. So I like to use the bigger ones. So I'm gonna just click the, oh, let's do the modern. I don't know what that one looks like. We'll see. Once we start putting our information in, this right-hand side is going to show us the sample of what we're putting together. So if I want to put some text in here, I can. And up at the top, oh, my button moved. All right, let's put just listed here. We just did a facelift in some of the design stuff. So you can see where just listed is now populating on the bottom here. You guys all see that? It's in gray. So as I type in on the left, it's going to reflect on the right. And we can put more information in. So if we wanted to put property information or something in there, we could. And you have your spot here to upload your photos. Put your agent photo in there. You can see there's one in there already. Let me go back one spot. Let's do advertise a listing. Here we go. Okay, so now that was showing how you can put your own content in there. So you would supply the text, you would supply the picture, right? Now, if you want, because we chose attract listings. So if you wanted to advertise a listing, so let's say you're in an area and like you're farming a certain area and something has come up in that area and you want those people to know because you want to have them help you find their new neighbor, right? So that would be, I did advertise a listing instead of a track listing. And you can see now we have this new option that currently says no listing selected. So if I click that select listing button, I can actually feed in information from the MLS. Quick pro tip, all the way on the right hand side, it says only my listings under that blue search button. You want to click that and switch to all listings, and then you can have access to anything. So if you do want to advertise something that came up in the area that's not your listing, just make sure you're following all the compliance rules that go along with that. You can't advertise it as your own listing. You can just say, you know, this came to market. Do you know somebody, you know, I'd love to help bring a buyer to the list agent or something like that. You can pull in that listing information too, or if somebody's given you permission to advertise their listing on your behalf, you can use this for that as well. So does anybody have an active listing right now? 580 Main, is that Glen Ellen?
Yes.
There it is, and there's Margaret. So all I have to do is hit select. You can see that popped right up. This is her active listing right now. And what was the question?
No, sorry.
Oh.
Nice job.
So now her listing has been selected, and I can now click on content again, and we're going to choose, well, yeah, we'll stay with the 6x11. And you can see now this information has all popped in place for me, so I don't have to provide it for the postcard. And this is where you're going to choose, we'll say it's just listed. How many bedrooms is it? Bathrooms? Okay, and then you can see the description has just pulled right in from the MLS. Now you still have the opportunity to come in here, edit this. Maybe you don't want to copy and paste the MLS description for your postcard. Maybe you want to make it shorter or edit some information to talk about the neighborhood, who knows? So, but you have that opportunity to change that here. And then all the pictures from the MLS have fed in. My guess is because this is from the MLS, they're probably low res photos. So it will give us an error message if the photo is not high enough quality, which is good because you don't want to send out a postcard that's pixelated, right? So let's say she's got some cool shots of the kitchen. We don't have to do the front of the house. So let's go ahead and click one of these cool kitchen shots. See, and right at the top, it says low res picture. So we would want to get, typically when you guys get your photos from your photographer, you get two versions, right? You get a high res print quality and you get a low res web quality, right? So you would want to go pull the one that's the high res print quality from the files that the photographer has sent you. And you can simply hit remove or upload and replace right here. So if I want to upload and replace, I don't know that there's any high res pictures on this computer. Sorry, I did not come prepared for that. Let's see what this is. Still low res. All right, so we'll just keep going through the process. You want to put the high resolution picture in there. I think you guys all understand that concept, right? And so you get your high res photo, you put that in there. And then again, you can update any of your agent information. This section right here pulls from your marketing profile right inside Command. So if you notice something in here that you want to have updated and you want it updated all the time, go ahead and update it in your marketing profile. That way you don't have to change it every time you make a postcard. Make sense? All right, we're gonna leave it how it is and hit save. I don't know if it'll let me save with that photo. Okay, it did. So now that I hit save, you can see the preview of my postcard. So pretend this is our property picture. Let's just change it, even though it's low res. We'll change it to a property picture. Remove image. And we'll do one of those pretty kitchen shots. And then we'll come back down and hit save. And that's as easy as it is to update the card. So you can see there's a little proof here on the right-hand side. And then Carol saw that there's an option for a QR code. So that's a cool little feature too. You can go ahead and hit that tracking. And just like Marty mentioned with the Facebook ads, you can link a different website to it, whether it's the listing on your own Keller Williams website, or you have a landing page that you want to direct people towards so they can submit their information so that you can then reach out to them. You can do that. If you've created it in Command already, you just hit this landing page assigned right here and it will pop up and you can choose where you want it to go to. So one of the ones is download my app. That could be a fun one for a postcard too. So I'm just going to select that. So now the QR code, when somebody scans it on that postcard, is going to direct them to download my KW app so they can search for properties and get more information. Okay, so the next option we have is, we did content, is Market Center. So this is going to have all of your compliance information in it to keep you legal with the state. So make sure that that is all correct and has your brokerage information in there. Again, that pulls from your marketing profile. So if you need to update any of that, just update it in your profile. The state is case sensitive. So just take note of that. You'll want to make sure you do that capital IL. And then I don't know what Naperville's zip code is. Anybody know?
60540.
Oops. Thank you. Oh yeah, it says it right there. So let's fix that. Thanks, Margaret. And then it's going to ask you to verify. And you'll say, oh yeah, that looks right. Confirm address. So now that's all set. So that was Market Center. And then we're going to go into targeting. All right, so here is the deal. There are two ways to target. It shows you local targeting originally. So that is for circle prospecting. So you say, we have this address at 580 North Main, and I want to send it to people that live in the area. That's what the local targeting is. Command will provide you with the addresses. It will address the postcards for you and send the postcards for you. And if you want to target your database, instead of circle around a property, you would hit target my database. Now this is where, remember, we were talking about neighborhood tags and how that could come in handy. So if you have all of your people in your farm tagged as your farm, then you can just go hit add contacts and you can search by the tag. So you don't have to hunt through your whole database to say, okay, who lives in this town? Who's close to this town? Who should I be sending this email to or this postcard to? And it will go straight to that tag for you. I'm not sure what's in this demo account, to be 100% honest. So let's see what's in here for tags. Let's see what's in 2021. Only one person. How about also A and W? There, we got a couple more people. And you'll notice, see how these bottom two are gray and they have little exclamation points next to it? What do you think could be causing that? That is right, you guys. There is no address for those contacts, so they are not going to receive a postcard. So it won't even let you waste your money trying to send it to them. See, I can't click on them. There's a little safety net in place for you. Let's see what else comes up here for agent. Here we go. So I can hit select all. You can see there's 8 people in the filters that I have up right now that actually have addresses. So I can just go ahead and hit add to campaign. And now I've targeted those 8 people inside my database. Of course, if you're doing your farm, you probably have a list of a couple hundred, and it would work the same way. And then you would just hit save. And we have our budget as the last item here. So we can click on budget. And you can see here, I'm only sending to 8. And I don't want standard. I want first class. I want it to get there fast. So that's going to upgrade my pricing a little. Or, you know, this isn't really a time sensitive postcard. In this case, just listed, you probably want to get it out faster. But if you're sending out different content that's not as time sensitive, or it is time sensitive, yet you've planned ahead of time, you can use that standard mail. It'll take a little longer to get out. I believe first class is 3 to 5 days and standard is up to 3 weeks. And then you can hit save. It will tell us somewhere in here, I think when we choose our postcard. Whoops. I thought it showed in here. Or maybe it's on the next page. When we get all of that set in your budget, you'll see that it's going to tell you exactly what your estimate is. And you can always increase or decrease, but you would obviously have to have more addresses to do that. So I'm going to just go ahead and hit save. Once you complete this part, when you go to confirm targeting, you can't go backwards. You can always replicate. I think the action is called duplicate. You can always duplicate and edit the campaign. But when I go to hit confirm targeting, it's going to say, are you sure you want to create this campaign? And that's going to lock everything in place for you. So I'm going to hit yes. Now, if I needed to edit anything that we've already touched, I'm going to have to duplicate it and edit it on my duplicate. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hit yes. It's going to process it a little. It'll give us our previews. I know this picture is a lower resolution picture, so it's probably not going to look great on here. So while those previews are loading, you can see underneath, it's got all the additional information about payment, how many you're sending it to, you know, again, just a reminder of, we chose standard, we have 8 going out, you know, all that kind of stuff right there. And you would just put your email information in here and credit card information. And Command will do the printing of the postcard. It will address the postcards, it will stamp them, and it will send them for you. We partner with Real Mailers. So that's the company that actually does all the printing and postage and all of that good stuff. But all you have to do is get the design set up and send it off to them, and they'll do the rest. Questions about any of this? No? Okay, so go ahead.
You get like a final, like.
Yeah, so that's at the right here. So there's the proof. Sorry, it was loading. I forgot to come back. Thanks for asking that, Dave. So you can see the front of the postcard and the back, and I think you can click. Oh, maybe not. Oh, here, view a larger preview. So you get a full page to view it. So there's the front, pretty simple. Nice, pretty picture on the front there. Good job, Margaret. And then you can review your whole description, all the information you put in there. Here's our QR code. So if you guys want, I don't have my phone on me, you can scan that. It's going to go, I don't know if it'll go to a real link since we're in the demo account, but you can try it if you want. And then we didn't change the picture down here, but of course that should be Margaret because that's her property.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
No, I was like, I'll take it. And that's the, you know, a nicer way to see the preview. You can download it, print it, you know, do anything like that you want to with it as well. Oh yeah, go ahead. Here, let me make it. Oh, there we go. We're having somebody test the QR code right now. Like I said, I'm not sure if it goes to an actual site. It's not reading it. Did it work? All right. Yeah.
Amy, can you show the other targeting that we can do if you're not
Yes.
targeting your database?
Yes, exactly that. Thank you for asking that. That is what I wanted to show you guys next. So this is how you target within Command. So these people are contacts that you've already put in your database. Like I said, using the tag is the best way to find them to make it nice and easy. I'm going to just put this in a draft because I don't want to actually send this out. No offense, Margaret. So now you can see my test 1, 2, 3 is now in draft mode. So I can always hit the 3 little dots on the far right and edit it. Or like I said before, we can go ahead and hit that duplicate button. It's going to save all the information in there for me and still give me the option to update it. So I'm going to hit duplicate. And instead of using targeting my database, I'm going to show you how you can do that circle prospecting. Now you can do that for your database. Like if it's in you have a listing inside your farm, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, you can target outside of your farm as well. So everything at the top will stay the same with, finding the listing, putting your content in. Let's make sure the market center is in there again. Save. And the only thing that's going to change is when we get down to targeting. We're going to click targeting, and instead of target my database, we're going to use local targeting. So we can see we have the address of the property that's already popped in here. If for some reason you wanted to do local targeting around, not a listing, you could still use this feature. Let's say you want it like within an office or around your house, or you're holding an event and you want to attract people to the event, you can put that address in there. So you can put any address in here that you want and then hit save. And on our next screen, it's going to show us a map, and we'll see all the little dots of all the homes that it's going to go to. So, well, how many, maybe we want more than 8 if we're doing circle prospecting. Let's say we're doing 100 postcards, right? So there's 100. Oops, I didn't mean to close that. Sorry, guys. And let's say we want first class. We want it to go out right away. So of course that comes to $120 then. We'll hit save. So the only difference here was that I did not click target my database, which is what we did originally. We chose local targeting this time. Everything else we've done has been the same. We'll go to that top right and hit configure targeting one more time. We're going to hit, yeah, everything's right. Let's go ahead and finalize this order. And our preview is going to load up there, and below that, uh-oh. Where'd my map go? Let's try that again. They did just push through some updates, so they may have moved a button and I didn't realize it. I apologize if that's the case. Targeting. $100. So what usually happens is we hit save here. We go to configure targeting. And it pulls up a map. Uh-oh. I can't read what that says. Thank you. It was under my Zoom button. I couldn't see it. There we go. Let's try that one more time.
Let's give it a minute and see if it populates.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. We'll wait for it to pull the preview in.
And I'm wondering if maybe because there's no payment on file here.
That could be. So typically it just shows.
Let me see if I can. I'm going to try my account and see if I can.
Okay, you do that, and I'm going to do something else too.
Because that's a cool feature. That's a good way, especially right now when people have. People are looking for maybe inventory, right? When you talk about farming a neighborhood, this is a good way to be purposeful on the way you're farming and not just send letters to every single property in that neighborhood, right? Because someone might have bought this year and you don't want to send them properties that you don't want to spend money on them when they just recently bought, right? So Let's see if I can get this to work on my side here.
Yeah, when the targeting, the map comes up, there's also filters associated with it. So
Yeah.
you can search for homes that have sold in the last, or haven't sold for like over 5 years, over 10 years, right? So you can target people that have been in the properties longer. Oh,
Yeah.
there, pulled up for Noel. Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay,
so here's what this looks like, right? So yeah, if you were going to target 200 homes around this property address, and again, if you don't have a listing in that neighborhood, okay, well, where's your desired farming neighborhood or area, right? Find a central address, plop that address in the previous screen, and then it's going to show you these dots around it. So these are the 200 homes around this area, but now you could get more purposeful on how you want to see them, right? Maybe you just want single family homes. And maybe you don't want any homes that have sold, since after 2015, right? So now my money's a little more purposeful. Instead of sending it out to everybody, I can decide, I want a minimum. Maybe I have a client that's looking for a minimum 3-bedroom house, right? Or a certain square footage. Now I can be more purposeful, and it's going to take that same $200 instead of this initial area. It extends the outreach based on what fits this criteria.
And if you want to take it to the next level, if you know that there's somebody in your farm that's like, stop sending me postcards. Has anybody ever had that happen? I see smiles. Okay. So you can actually click on the individual properties and remove them if you want to. So if you want to click on one of the dots there, you can see you get more information about the property, and the remove button comes up. So if you really want to go into that much detail, you can. And I think this just wasn't pulling up on the demo account because it's a demo account, because Noel's in his live account right now.
Yeah, I think because I have the payment information in here. But again, if you have a buyer that's looking in a particular neighborhood, why not send out a postcard to all of these potential people that have owned for more than 5 years and say, we have a buyer looking, right? We would love to create a win-win and have it be a very smooth transaction for you. Again, now you're just being a little bit more purposeful on how you're spending money, and then you can extend these postcards on a regular farm, right? And just keep replicating this and just change out the postcard on what that message looks like. Maybe it's tips on preparing your house for the market, or how to get the most money out of your house, right? And maybe every month you send a different tip. All you need is one of these people to raise their hand and get a listing with for this all to be worth it, right? So
yeah, so there's anything, all of the different ideas Noel was talking about with the sphere for reasons you could reach out or send an email on, you could put that in a postcard too. Now, what we showed you in here, the pre-templated ones are mostly property postcards. However, right inside designs, there's a whole bunch of postcard templates already drafted for you that you can then download and upload. Instead of using the use templates button, you can hit upload, and then you can use the image that's from Command and upload it in here and still use the system to send out the mailings for you.
I've got a question here, Amy, 1 second.
Yeah.
Is that mapping function built right into Command, or is that interfacing with Remind?
Yeah, so the question was, is this mapping function here built within Command, or is it interacting with Remind? No, this is directly within Command.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so it's all built in within Command, and we have the analytics of when things were last sold, square footage, bedroom size. So it's a nice way to filter things out, and it's an easy button, right, for them to just send it off. I know a lot of agents that use EDDM, where you're just doing a whole mail route, and typically a neighborhood is split into two, and the route covers part of this neighborhood, but then part of other neighborhoods, right? So, and you're sending it to everybody. You're sending it to people that recently bought. So I like being more purposeful with my money, right? So I like this option.
And then one other thing you can do, Noel, if you're willing to, be our Vanna White here, is you can actually do, just like on the MLS, and there's that Pentagon tool, you can draw your own borders on this map as well. So you can kind of see in this example, it's spiraling out in a circle from the center, but up at the top right, there's a little red button that you can click, and you can actually create your own borders. So if you know the specific streets you want to target, you can do that. And now it's those homes right inside that target.
A lot of good feedback here in Naperville.
And that's about it. So once you have all of your your filters in and your address is set, you just go through to that payment option and off it goes. You don't have to deal with, you know, printing and addressing and all of that stuff. It does it all for you. Any other questions on the postcards?
Yep, I got one here. 1 second.
Yeah.
The
Two questions.
first one is the language wise is you only use it English or you can use
Well, yeah, the question was, you know, can we only use English on there for the content? But yeah, it defaults to English, but I don't see why you couldn't copy and paste, you know, if you had your own translation and you wrote it out yourself. Sure, I think sky's the limit on what you can make that.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Second question, so this is a kind of a monthly, or you committed to monthly, or just you can commit just to one?
Sure. The question was, is this a monthly commitment to it? And there's no monthly commitment. It's pay as you go. Yep. So you do a campaign, you send it out. If next month you don't want to run one, or you change your mind, or you want to change your search criteria, you can make those adjustments and change it along the way. The question was, does the cost per you know, mailer go down if you scale, if you're doing a larger amount? And I don't believe so.
I don't think so either. I've done mailings in the past for like 500 and they were the same price. And it's because the postage will not change in price, right? So
yeah,
that's part of it.
And it's pretty inexpensive if you think of postage with the print and everything else, like to be sent out.
If you're doing the 6x9, first class is I think 99 cents. It's the 6x11 that it goes up to 120. Can you tell I've sent a couple? And then Joe brought up a good point in our office here, that because they were asking if it was a monthly commitment or anything, which it's not. Yet you do want to make sure that when we're talking about farming, we're talking about reaching out on a consistent basis. Remember to make sure that you're keeping that mind share. So while you can choose to send it to less or more people, I would recommend sending it monthly, or incorporating, you know, maybe do a quarterly postcard, your monthly neighborhood nurture email that Noel was talking about, a quarterly call plan, right? You can mix all these different pieces together to really follow up with your people. And then, like he said, that golden letter has been top notch, working really well for everybody. So there we are. There you have it. Any other questions? Dave is watching things on my computer. No? Okay, well, we're gonna stick around and do some workshop time. So if you guys want to, like, if you were following along or you want to implement some things, we'll be here. Command on Demand runs till 4, so I'll have the Zoom up for those of you that are here. Everybody else, you can stay on Zoom if you want, but I'll just walk around, and we might have some tech committee members helping out too, depends on what their schedules are. But we are happy to continue answering questions and troubleshoot things with you. Our next command day, the reason Margaret surveyed everybody today was so that we could hear from you on what topics you wanted. It sounded like transaction management and DocuSign were really popular, so we'll work on that as tech committees to bring some great resources to you. But that one will be October 19th, so we usually block 12 to 4 for those. So that's another Tuesday, October 19th, so save the date for that. Any
Awesome.
final words from Naperville?
No, I think this was great. We had a lot of head shaking over here on some good stuff. So thanks again for all your hard work, Amy, in putting this together, and of course, getting Marty Miller on the call. A lot of valuable things, and I think people can just pick and choose, right, what they want to focus on next, and at least have some ideas as far as implementation. So if you guys have any questions, we're all around, right? We're part of tech, and we understand that it can be a lot sometimes, and if we need to kind of sit one-on-one and just help you implement something, we're happy to do so.
Yep, and just another little reminder, we do have Command on Demand almost twice a day. So always feel free to pop into those Zoom sessions. We host them once somebody's typically in the office, not always. So if you want to come in person, just ask us. We'll tell you when it's in person as well, and you can come in and we can help you that way too. But I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording.